Hi, friends. Welcome to episode 16 of our science fiction book read-along. This will be the last episode where we are focused on the Terraformers by Annalee Newitz. This will be a reading of chapter 46. There's actually one more very short chapter after this for you guys to read on your own. But this wraps up this reading series. Thanks for joining along. And as always, please leave your thoughts and comments. Would love to hear any additional suggestions for the next book to read. I was thinking of one by Becky Chambers as a follow-up to this, but I'm open to some suggestions. So, with no further ado, Chapter 46, Public Planet. It had been 2 days since the near disaster with the ribbons, and still most people on the planet didn't know what Moose and the train had shared with the Spider City Council. Scrubjay wanted desperately for Moose to publish their story, but Moose refused to file until all the fact checks were complete. Most of the trains had gone back to their duties, but Scrubjay had remained at Spider, their primary body still parked on a rocky slope near the caldera. Inside, Moose licked a paw and then licked Scrubjay's beaver cat carapace behind its approximation of an ear. I just need a little more time. I'm working on verifying with the Mons Agricultural Museum that the biobank Ronnie told us about is actually in their archive. If they can verify, I think we've got a pretty airtight story. Scrubjay shifted positions and Moose sat back on their haunches. I still can't believe Sasky's entire Homo sapiens population is walking around inside bodies that they never should have paid for, stolen from publicly owned germlines. Absently, the remote put a paw on Moose's back, enjoying the gentle vibrations from his purr. The cat snuggled closer, opening their eyes and looking at the remote's face. "Oh, wait, you have to see this," they texted. I found some images of Cylindra with Archie Bellancy at a retreat on Fluffytown, looking very chummy. The cat sent a compressed video. It was Cylindra thousands of years ago in a Homo diversus body with gleaming blue skin, before she was pushed out of Verdance. She bragged about the brokering deals with Genetrix for authentic Neanderthals on Sasky, presumably the Archaea, and how they had been replaced by real heirloom indigenous Earth Homo sapiens. Waving one bejeweled arm, Cylindra concluded, "We've recreated real historical evolution just like on the iconic planet Earth." The cat turned their head upside down, amused, and Scrubjay sighed. "I hope you put that in your story, because it's a perfect encapsulation of why that rotted foot of a person is so terrible and wrong." The cat trilled a note of pride. "Did you know that the Moose Report is pulling in millions of readers from off-world? It's the first wormhole traffic to hit the Larange Messenger." "Nice going." The cat reached out a paw and put it on the remote's leg gently. "Thank you for everything you've done, friend. I never could have pulled this off without your help." Pressing closer to one another, the two quadrupeds set work aside and gave themselves a night of diversion. The next day, a message finally came through the wormhole from the Mons Agricultural Museum. Yes, the ancient biobank collection was still in the archives, a tired-sounding docent confirmed. And yes, the sequence matched those of the Homo sapiens germline that had been licensed to millions of people living on Sasky. Fact-checking was over. Every single Homo sapiens on the planet had been built from public property. And the latest installment of the Moose Report was complete. It was one of the cat's best stories yet, and certainly the most explosive. They began by telling the history of the curdled Genetrix deal, carefully explaining how that meant Emerald was charging its residents jacked-up licensing fees for free germlines. And then came the kicker. Despite Cylindra's violent crackdown, she had been allowing public entities to form on the planet, and she signed off on the self-governing flying train fleet. Moose quoted expert sources from the League who said that Sasky could be on the verge of becoming a public planet. The protests in Larange started at almost exactly the same time that the Moose Report came out, and Scrubjay suspected that Moose might have tipped off Fernelf and some of the sympathetic ERT Rangers working with left-hand refugees in the receiver neighborhood. A peaceful march started next to Boreal Station, and they gathered more people until they reached downtown with hundreds of thousands. Overhead, members of the flying train fleet soared and sang, their rectangular shadows sweeping across the chanting crowd. Who builds cities? The public. Who owns Sasky? The public. I say public. You say planet. Public. Planet. Public. Planet. The branding team at Emerald responded to the Moose report with their own version of events. Cylinder sat on her tidy upper ziggurat balcony, new scaffolds sprouting behind her, and explained with a condescending smile that the germline was completely legitimate. We're building the happiest place in the league, and these squatters at Spider City are just spinning their usual web of lies. She chuckled at the pun as if the whole situation was silly and inconsequential. The self-governing trains are a complete myth, as is the story about our germlines. We are prepared to stop their mob violence with decisive action from our security forces. Cylinder's bold-faced lies in that footage made her a meme that traveled through every wormhole. More protesters were broadcasting from marches in the Emerald cities, demanding sanctions against the city's corporate owners. As they chanted, Moose began to write their next report. It was about the first lawsuits being filed on behalf of Homo sapiens whose bodies were built on fraud and false advertising. And with that ends Chapter 46 and our reading series on the Terraformers. Please drop some comments. Let me know what you think about the book. And any further ideas for future series. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.